Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to another video here on Cluiche with me, Séamus, Brady, your host. I'm joined as always by Matthew Hurley, the Gaelic Statsman. It feels like as always now, Matthew, but there was nobody I would have rather had on. Obviously, then a good Cork man like yourself after what is one of the best games of hurling I think we've ever seen. That's the first one we're going to discuss. But I mean, as you were saying on your own Instagram, not a bad weekend for Cork, not a bad weekend for Gaelic Games. The hurling action just absolutely incredible. Carlo drawn with Kilkenny as well. Nobody would have seen that coming. Christy Ring delivered, Lory delivered. You got two LGFA provincial finals, and then in the Gaelic football, of course, you have the two provincial finals. Louth putting up a good test to Dublin, even though Dublin came out on top. And Armagh once again losing on penalties. I mean, you couldn't make this up at this stage. And the Táilteann Cup kicked off as well. So and the under-20 All-Ireland football semi-finals. Just an absolutely insane weekend. Looking forward to jumping into it with you.
Exactly, and thanks for having me on again, Séamus. Yeah, it was a game that last night that you'd want to be at, but thankfully I did have my GA go pass. I did see the game unfold as it was in GA going. To be honest, when Séamus Flanagan hit that third goal and when Aidan O'Connor hit the point over the bar, I was thinking, no, this doesn't look good from a Cork point of view. We're out of the championship early on, but yeah, Patrick Collins plays the ball at Shane Kingston, and the rest is history, I suppose. And a lot of people say it wasn't a penalty. No, it was a penalty, simple as, and brilliantly taken by Patrick Horgan towards the end of it. And yeah, it was just an incredible end to the game. And you looked at the Carlo Kilkenny game. With all the stuff going on this weekend, I have that time to look at detail in the Carlo Kilkenny game. The under-20s were on, obviously. Tyrone produced a good performance in that. So did Kerry beating Meath, coincidentally. And even today, the provincial finals, like Louth performed magnificently today, I have to say, against a Dublin side. There was a juggernaut of Leinster football, and then you had the Ulster Championship, and to be honest, that was probably I would say the most predictable ending rather than the Leinster ending, because at least the Leinster was competitive and we didn't think it would be competitive. But Armagh losing penalties, look, it's just the norm at this stage. Look,
man, it's like that was like the banter answer. Like if you had been sitting around in the pub with your mates saying what's going to happen, Armagh lose on penalties, yeah. Because what are the odds that it happens again? Like I felt like you could have just played the clip of me and you responding to the Monaghan Armagh penalties in the quarterfinal last year and could have put that out today and people would have thought we were watching today's game. But yeah, we are going to start with the hurling. We're going to start with what is one of the best games of hurling we've ever seen. Cork 328, Limerick 326. And like, obviously, it's one of the best games of hurling we've ever seen. Like, when you look at how good Cork were in the first half, how good Limerick were coming back, Séamus Flanagan with his hat-trick, Darragh Fitzgibbon was absolutely amazing. Cork got the win, but it also shows just how good you have to be to beat Limerick, because I don't think Cork could have done anything better. Of course, the Patrick Collins short puck out was a mistake that then Séamus Flanagan got the second goal off of. But apart from that, Cork didn't really do anything wrong. They put everything right and they still barely got over the line. And I'm in complete agreement with you for anybody saying it wasn't a penalty. It was just literally what the rule was brought in for. And the other thing that was slightly satisfying in terms of a neutral watching it, but certainly somebody who's always up for the underdog, is Limerick were doing that time and time again. Anytime the Cork lads got close to the goal, Limerick were just fouling them. Like, there was one shot where Alan Connolly got through, and I think Dan Morrissey just grabbed the hold of him, and Connolly ended up putting it over the bar. But they were doing it time and time again, and Hayes' one was just so blatant that it had to be a penalty. And Horgan held his nerve, stuck it in the back of the net. Cork win with their backs firmly against the wall, and they've given themselves a lifeline now.
Absolutely, and I suppose like even the scenes from, I think the video that was from Echo Live last night, I put it up on my Instagram as well. It's already got 20k views or 20k views, which is absolutely incredible in its own right. It just shows the ecstasy amongst the Cork supporters. They crowding onto the pitch. I don't think, and to be honest, Séamus, I've seen the new redeveloped Park and Key for a long time now. I think about 6 years, about 6 or 7 years, give or take. I've never seen the Blackrock in bouncing like it was last night. Mm-hmm. Like, it was unreal more than anything. And the hockey penalty, like, you could feel it.
Man, the shot of Patrick Horgan taking the penalty, and the minute the ball hits the net, the whole crowd just explodes. Like, that was Páirc Uí Chaoimh brought to life. And the scenes at the end when the full-time whistle went were extraordinary. You could tell how much it meant to Cork that from the brink of elimination, they come back with an unbelievable performance like that to beat the team that have just dominated the last 6-7 years. And then on top of that, for Limerick, from their point of view, as I was saying, it shows how good you have to be to beat them. But Cork were that good. And then a word as well, Darragh Fitzgibbon, immense, like absolutely extraordinary. And players like him really stepped up. Kingston, it was a penalty. Cork get the win. Like, just, it's hard to put it into words. What a game.
And just what a first half from Cork, because I think it gets lost in translation with the bits of the probably the dramatics of the second half. That Cork's first half performance was absolutely brilliant. Like, they came out the traps. Even after Séamus Flanagan's goal, and there was a stoppage in play, I think it was, the Cork still had to go down and get another goal or get back in front and things like that. And they still went back and run through a Shane Barrett goal. And what I will say, yes, Darragh Fitzgibbon was brilliant and he was deserved the man of the match award. Shane Barrett from Blarney at centre forward was absolutely brilliant as well. The pace on him. Like, we talked about it during the week on our podcast. The pace could hurt Limerick. And we talked about Jack O'Connor maybe having an influence in the forward line. Shane Barrett definitely showed the pace of this one. Like, he is an electric player, there's no doubt about it. And there was question marks about Séamus Hartney, his fitness, his probably his input to the Cork team. Last night, he showed what it means to Cork hurling. The guy, he fought for every ball. He scored about 1-2 or 1-3 last night. He was immense for wing forward from minute one. And even you look at, and I will give credit to this guy as well, because we talked about on Joyce's loss on the podcast during the week as well. Rob Downey at centre back. There was question marks from me, from you, from many parts of the media. He was superb last night. Absolutely superb. And there was Pat Ryan. There was moments in the game where his managerial expertise had to come into question. Yes, O'Downey had a decent enough game, but he got booked. And then Pat Ryan said, "No, you're off. I don't want to risk a red card here." That was brilliant management. And I look back at it, I was thinking, bring on Damien Callan, a player who didn't perform well in the last few games, for O'Downey, who did perform well, and up until the 18th minute. To hook him off maybe is a questionable decision. But as the game went on, as Séamus Flanagan got a bit more influence in the game, it proved to be the right call. And what I will say, well done to everyone in the Cork panel, the Cork management team, and the supporters as well. Because they could have easily, after the Séamus Flanagan third goal or the Aidan O'Connor point, they could have said, "This is done here." But they stuck with their team. They kept going to the end. And what a finish. What a finish. And you could see the unbridled joy with the Cork fans coming onto the pitch. And you could even see behind Gráinne McElwain and Bubbles and Owen Cadigan and Jago, there was chants about rebels. It was just brilliant to see. And, you know, it was just the hurling championship awoke last night. It was just brilliant to see. But at the same time, brilliant performance last night from many of the team. I couldn't fault any of them. Like, I think it's 77% shot accuracy again against Limerick is superb. Their defence was really, really good. Other than obviously Séamus Flanagan scored 3-3. All parts were absolutely brilliant from Cork last night. But make sure it doesn't go unnoticed now. Beat Tipperary next week. That's the big aim for this Cork team. If they don't beat Tipperary next week, maybe this game will go into irrelevancy in some way. It probably won't be in historical terms, but in terms of getting out of the Munster Championship, it will be. So beating Tipperary, and I'm sure Pat Ryan would have said that to the players last night, it's one game. Beating Limerick, yes, All-Ireland champions, drive for 5 team, but it's one game at a time. We have to beat Tipperary next week to stay in the championship. And I'm sure that's what Pat Ryan would have said to the players after the game.
Certainly would have. And I think that would have been kind of the game that, like, we can use this to propel us on for the rest of our season. Gavin O'Reilly has a comment in here. He says, "Well, lads, very strange weekend. A lot of shocks in all codes. What do you think was the biggest?" Matthew, I'll go to you for that first. What do you think was the biggest shock? Gavin, I'd be interested in hearing what your biggest shock is as well. Same thing for anybody who's watching. You have a few people watching now on the live stream. Guys, what's your biggest shock of the weekend? Gavin, you try yours in as well. Matthew, your biggest shock?
They didn't necessarily win the game, but I think Louth, the fact that they got within 4 points of Dublin, I think that's the biggest shock of the weekend. Yes, Carlow beating Kilkenny, but at the same time, Kilkenny might have played their second team, and I probably knew that. But going into the weekend's games, there was injury concerns and things like that. Dublin played nearly a first team today, And Louth, that was nearly the exact same team that it played last year and lost by 20 points. They played today, they came up with a plan, and they nearly stifled Dublin. Like, honestly, when Kieran Keelan struck the net in that at the start of the second half, I thought, oh, whoa, Louth could actually shock Dublin here. And to be honest, it was just a bad kick out for Conor O'Callaghan's goal that kind of denied them. But look, I think that was my shock of the weekend. Louth putting up as much as they did to Dublin. And that's the closest Leinster final since 2012. So, lot to be proud of as a Louth fan.
Certainly. I think I have a bit of a rogue shout. I'm saying London beaten Offaly by as much as they did. 220 to 12 points in O'Connor Park. I mean, what on earth? Like, it's one of those results that I looked at. I was like, hold on a minute. What? Like, you lost by how much to London? 14 points to London at home. Like, that's whatever about losing to Dublin and Croker, but like to lose to London by that much at home, that is very, very questionable indeed. Going back to this game, though, the Munster Hurling Championship, Cork against Limerick, there's so much to talk about in this game. So what I've decided we're going to do is go through it in stages. So first stage, obviously, is Cork's first half. They finished the half with 2 goals and 15 points. Like, they were just absolutely exploded out of the traps. Harnedy got the goal very, very quickly. Shane Barrett obviously got the immediate response when Séamus Flanagan got his goal. Just everywhere around the field, Cork were brilliant. Ethan Toomey really struck me as well. At midfield, he was immense. The work rate, his hunger, he was clattering into every tackle. Cork's physicality was very noticeable as well. Declan Dalton, Brian Hayes, they were getting stuck into the Limerick lads. And at half-time, Cork were leading, as I said, 215 to 110. And you know that Limerick are going to come back. It's guaranteed. Like, you're going to wake up, you're going to breathe oxygen, and Limerick are going to make a second half comeback. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that's what they do. But to beat them, you have to put yourself in as good a position as you can at halftime. Cork put themselves in an amazing position at the break. What did they do well in the first half?
I think it was just tenacity. You hit the nail on the head there, Séamus. And an example of this, I know there was a collision between the two players, and there was, they had to get treatment for injuries or whatnot. But Declan Dalton and Séamus Harnedy going for the same ball and pulling along the centre of the pitch. Yeah. I think that epitomised what it meant to Cork in that first half. And there was moments of the game where Limerick were getting on top, and there was Tom Morrissey getting a few points there, Garrod Hagerty, obviously the Séamus Flanagan goal. But the main thing about Cork, I thought last night, every time there was a setback in that first half in particular, Cork bit back. And we hadn't seen that from a Cork team in a long while. And I think that was the most pleasing aspect as well. And the fact we were going in for challenges, we were going hard or going home as well. And there was smartness as well. Yes, it was aggression, but it was organised aggression, if you know what I mean, as well. Because, yes, Owen Downey got booked. And that was the example I was bringing up with Pat Ryan. Owen Downey gets booked. Pat Ryan says, no, you're off the pitch, mate. And Damien Callanan comes on. And it wasn't the fact that Owen Downey was playing badly. He was on a yellow card. And if he got another yellow on Séamus Flanagan, that was our third red card in a row. And we couldn't afford for that to happen. So I think Pat Ryan made the right decision there. And it epitomised on the sideline as well in that first half. Paul Kinnerk and Pat Ryan and even John Kiley getting involved down the sideline. I think it just showed what it meant to the Cork management and the players that we were going hell for leather in this game, and we are not going to be stopped by this Limerick team, no matter how great they are, no matter how brilliant they are, and they're going for the drive revive. Nothing's getting in our way tonight. And that was the attitude from the Cork players who've been at one. And I think that was the most pleasing aspect as well. And the fact we had about a few goal chances. We took 2 in the first half, which was absolutely crucial. The Shane Barrett goal was absolutely magnificent. The Séamus Harnedy goal was really, really good early on the stage as well.
Nicky Quaid there as well, man. That fella, Jesus, 3 unbelievable saves. Particularly the one from Brian Hayes, where Hayes got hooked and then he manages to hit it kind of on the volley. Because for Quaid, I've played in goal tiny bit for my club. When someone swings, like if they miss the ball, you do a little because you're expecting the shot to come at you. So for Quaid to not bite on the initial one and then be ready to react and flick over the second shot was just unbelievable.
Yeah, and it just shows the great goalkeeper he is. And I counted last night, I think it was Yeah, it was 5 goal chances and Cork missed 3 of them, but they got 2. That was the main thing out of it. And Nicky Quaid was absolutely superb as well last night. I know he conceded 3 goals, but the guy, he's one of the best keepers in Ireland for a reason, really. I'll probably go as far as that as well. Yes, there are some excellent goalkeepers like David Fitzhenry over the last few seasons from Wexford. There is Owen Murphy, obviously, right now for Kilkenny. But Nicky Quaid, I think, in terms of consistency and all that, and the fact that he was an outfield player once and he's gone into goal and he's adapted his game, I think he's probably one of the best goalkeepers. I think there was a tweet, actually, from Tom Clancy, a Limerick journalist, last night to say this was Nicky Quaid, I think, 100th championship appearance. And when he started playing for the Limerick seniors, he was actually an outfielder. So to go on goal, to adapt his game like that, it just screams like he is a really, really legendary goalkeeper. There's no doubt about it. But look at the stats as well for the first half alone. Limerick actually, yes, Cork were well on top, but Limerick took 73% of their efforts. They took 15 shots on, they converted 11. So it showed Limerick were actually not bad last night. And Cork just, matched them for intensity. And that was the main thing out of it as well. Cork had 70% shot accuracies as well. Turnovers were very, very tight. It was 70 in the first half. It ended up being 77 once full-time whistle went. Overall, yeah.
That's better than it was last year. That's just a percent better, isn't it? There was 76 last year when it went out.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at overall the stats last night in shooting accuracies. Limerick was 78%, Cork was 77%.
Just nuts. It's gone like basketball, hasn't it? Where like they just don't miss. You let them shoot, they don't miss.
They don't. And you look at even the Limerick players in front of it, like Tom Morrissey was hitting nearly everything over the bar. Garrett Hagerty was as well. Even look at the overall percentages of shots. Like Séamus Flanagan at 100% shot accuracy. Garrett Hagerty 80%. Aaron Gallant 7 out of 8. Colin O'Neill 75%. Like it was just incredible numbers last night from both sides, and they deserve a lot of praise for that. And Limerick to score, and this has gone unnoticed because of the jubilation with the Cork crowd and everything like that. But Limerick, for them to score 326 and to still lose the game.
It's the same tally that Clare got by beating Cork. Like it's just
mental. Yeah, it's just a mental number more than anything as well. And Jarfit's given 5 out of 6. Patrick Horgan 12 out of 13. Like Patrick Horgan deserves a lot of credit as well. Séamus Hardney 3 out of 4. Like everyone that nearly took a shot. Like I have this actually. Everyone that took a shot last night scored at least 1 point.
That is mental. It shows how much like the game has just gone to a whole other level. Like I was saying that game just shows how good you have to be to beat Limerick. Like I don't think Cork could have gone much better. Like I don't think Clare could have gone much better when they beat them last year. Just absolutely extraordinary. We're commenting here. Gavin's talking about his shock of the weekends. He says, I'm struggling to pick between the Louth and London footballers and the Cork hurlers. Thought us coming Tyrone at under 20 level would have been tighter, with fair play to Tyrone. Experience showed. Yeah, Tyrone certainly. They answered all questions posed in that game. We're coming to that game later. Jay Gregan, of course, a regular guest here on the channel as well. Good friend of mine, Jay, says, should Sean Stack be given man of the match for adding to the occasion and getting the big calls right in such an intense and quick game? I think he absolutely had an amazing game, Sean Stack, because you're thinking about that atmosphere, that cauldron atmosphere, a game going that fast, and there's like no real decision where unanimously everybody's saying he got it wrong. Like the penalty was the right decision, and like you're biased if you're saying it wasn't. Like Kyle Hayes dragged Shane Kingston down when he was running through on the goal. That's a penalty. Like the Limerick defenders only got back because Hayes dragged them down. That's why there were Limerick defenders around him when he hit the ground. Kingston was going to go through and take a shot at Nicky Quaid. So Hayes took him down. And they've been doing that for 5 minutes up until Hayes ultimately took Kingston down. It was clearly a tactic, and clearly a very successful one too. That not just Limerick do, that a lot of defences around the country do. We're going to move then into the second half. So as I was saying, we knew Limerick were going to come back. As I was saying, you knew, like, you wake up, you breathe oxygen, Limerick will come back in the second half. Those two things just go hand in hand. Like, Limerick are 100% going to come back. There's no way you're going to hold them off for that long. There's no way that Limerick will go in at halftime and be like, Cork are very good today, aren't they? And just not come out in the second half. You knew that was coming. And it came. Like, I mean, I remember watching, and even before Limerick went ahead, I just had this feeling that Cork were screwed. Like, I really thought, like, particularly when Flanagan got the second goal, I was like, oh my God, how is this happening? I remember it felt like, do you know when you're watching a nature program and like a lion is hunting a zebra or something, you know what's going to happen? Like, I felt like that was what I was watching. I felt like Limerick were hunting Cork down, and it was only a matter of time before they got in front. And then when Séamus Flanagan lapped up the hat-trick, I thought, like, that's it. Like, Gerard Hegarty had roared into the contest. Kyle Hayes had roared into the contest. They were dominating all of a sudden, a lot of puck-outs. But Cork's response as well. Talk to me about that. Talk to me first about Limerick's comeback and then Cork's response to the comeback.
To be honest, with Limerick's comeback, that was the most expected thing of the night.
Yeah.
Because it's what they do. It's just what they do. Look at last year against Kilkenny in the All-Ireland final when Paddy Deegan got that goal. You didn't think Limerick were coming back from 5 points down that night. And they did. And they did look at the Tipperary game as well. And like, even the thing was out of a GA goal again, brilliant covered, by the way, as well. And Gráinne McElwain asked an interesting question to John Bubbles was aware last night. And this is concerning, the fact that Tipperary fell and sat in their face when Limerick came back in 2021 when Kyle Hayes scored that brilliant goal in that exact stadium in Barkygate. And Gráinne actually asked Bubbles the question, what was different from the Cork game tonight and the Tipperary game 3 years ago? And he was even struggling to answer. Like, it just does show. Like, it was just an incredible comeback, more than anything from a Cork point of view. But the Limerick comeback, Séamus Flanagan getting 3 goals, and there was a lot of pressure on Séamus Flanagan, just to say as well, because Peter Casey was out in injury. He probably would have been. He was replacing Séamus Flanagan in the last game against Tipperary. Séamus Flanagan comes back in. There's a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and he then gets a hat trick. If that was any other game, he'd get man of the match. If
Limerick had won, you'd imagine he would have got it.
He had to.
If Limerick had won, yeah. Can't really do much more than that. The other thing as well, I think I have a decent answer to that question from Gráinne to Bubbles. Like, I think when you're looking at the Tipperary game in Páirc Uí Chaoimh a couple of years ago, I think Tipperary just had no idea at halftime that Limerick would come at them that hard. I think that was probably not that we hadn't seen Limerick turn over teams before. Of course we had, but that was the first time that we were like, wow, like they were 10 points down at halftime. How on earth have they come back? But everybody knows that Limerick roar back in the second half now. So I think Liam Sheedy, you'd imagine a few years ago with Tip, would have been in the dressing room at halftime saying, lads, don't let up, finish them off. But Tipperary low-key thinking that they've the hard work done. Cork would have been sitting there at halftime, and Pat Ryan, I'd imagine, would have been absolutely hammering at home. We have won nothing. Limerick are going to come back at us 120 miles an hour. We've seen them do it time and time again. I think that's why Cork might have been able to just cope with it slightly better than Tip did.
And maybe as well, the emotion for the crowd. Because obviously that was a time in 2021 when there was half crowds, it was COVID, and as well as that, it was in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, so it was half and half split nearly between Limerick and Tip fans that day. That stadium last night was rocking with a sea of red. Mm-hmm. So that could have been another reason why them players would have been pushed on by the fans. And that was another reason as well, I think, in my honest view as well. And yeah, Limerick, they were absolutely brilliant in coming back into the game. Like, even Conor O'Neill chipping on a few scores. Adam English even coming on and getting his first touch of the ball and poking it over. Aidan O'Connor then getting a point as well. It was just an incredible comeback from Limerick. But the way the Cork kind of steadied the tide, I think that was brilliant. Like, I think there was a few nice scores from Darragh Fitzgibbon. There was one from Shane Kingston in particular after coming onto the pitch. Patrick Horgan getting a few frees as well. They might not be remembered in the heat of battle, but they were very, very important when you think about it, because they kept Cork within arm's length of Limerick, and there was always a potential for a Shane Kingston or a Jack O'Connor, if he came on, or an Alan Connolly to run at this Limerick defence and create one glorious chance. And it happened. And
that's right. It's the same thing in the
yeah.
Carlow game. Like, even on the highlights, I was disappointed that they didn't show, I think it was John Nolan got a point it was John Dolan that got a point just before Carlow got the free to equalise. And you're like, just those little points just keep you 1 point, 2 points behind, and it keeps you within a shot to nothing of getting the win. And then we're going into the final stages of the game now. So, like, Cork, absolutely cannot believe that all of a sudden they're behind. Limerick have come roaring back into the contest. We're into the final few minutes. Limerick are ahead. It's going back and forth, point for point. As you said, Aidan O'Connor hits over that point. Limerick look like they might be about to get home and hosed. Then Shane Kingston goes on his run. Kyle Hayes takes him down. As we've said, we both agree it is a penalty. Up steps Patrick Horgan. The camera shot is absolutely glorious. Horgan hits the back of the net past Nicky Quaid and just bang, all of a sudden the crowds behind the goal just absolutely erupt. And then Brian Hayes hits over another screamer, and that point was very similar to the one that Aaron Shanahan got last year as Clare beat Limerick in that game. Like, big men firing over into the crowd, that seems to be the final note if you're ever going to beat Limerick. And then full-time whistle, and Cork found a way to win. And the thing is that a lot of people, again, are saying that Cork falls short in the Munster games by the smallest of margins, 1.2 points. This time they fell on the right side of it, and they found a way to win.
And that was the key to it. And I would agree, yes, it's a penalty. It's a clear penalty. And people that don't know the rules, check it up again. It is a penalty, simple as. And for Brian Hayes as well to get that point towards the end and to have him have a brilliant performance and getting his goal chances, I'm sure a lot of flack would have went his way as well. And ever since, like, he switched from football, he was part of the footballers in 2022, went to the hurlers in 2023. And there was a certain amount of fans that didn't have the belief in Brian Hayes, but he shut up a lot of them last night. Like, he was brilliant at corner forward. He did his job, and in fairness, got a few points. And actually, in that video I put up on Instagram from Echo Live, there was a commenter actually below it that said, "I could hear it from my house. I could hear the cheer from my house." just near the stadium. Like, it just epitomised the joy in the stadium afterwards. And the pitch invasion as well. Like, you could see the pictures from, I think it was Info and Sportsfile. Like, you could even see the fans just celebrating, and it was just brilliant to see. It was brilliant. And yeah, I haven't seen a Parky Heave erupt like that in a long time. Yes, there was that moment with the footballers beat Roscommon last year, and there was applause for the team when they went off the pitch. But that stadium wasn't full that day. This stadium was packed to the rafters.
Yeah.
And to produce that win, it's incredible. And every Cork fan is absolutely delighted with the victory. But again, there's another game next week now against Tipperary. It's a big ask to beat that Tipperary team. And if Cork could do that, you would think that Cork have done enough to get third out from the depths of despair to get third in the Munster Championship group. It's incredible.
Yeah, certainly is. We have a couple of comments in here. Jay says the most important moment for Cork was their ability to respond to Limerick's first goal with their second straight away. Certainly it showed that Cork were serious this time. Stockroom Tim as well says, yeah, I'm quick to give out about refereeing decisions recently, so I have to admit it when the ref does well. Thought Stack was excellent. People will argue small stuff, but he did well. I think he was absolutely extraordinary. Sean Stack. I mean, like, in the white heat of battle like that with the crowd, I'd say the amount of pressure you're feeling to make the right decisions is absolutely extraordinary. And he says here, Cork winning wasn't a huge shock. They always have given Limerick a good game, bar the final a few years ago. The way they won was surprising, showed serious fight. That's it. Like, I thought it was going to be a classic Cork defeat in Munster, where they go right down to the wire. They do pretty much everything right, and they just fall short by a point or two, where players like Horgan and Dara Fitzgibbon have played out of their skins, but somehow they've still fallen short. But it wasn't to be this time. Cork absolutely, with their backs firmly to the wall, Cork produced an unbelievable victory. So Cork 328, Limerick 326, with their backs firmly against the wall. on the brink of elimination, Cork saved themselves in one of the best games of hurling I have ever seen. If I was going to show someone a game of hurling to show what the sport is about, why it's one of the best sports in the world, and why it means so much to us, that game is the one to show. To be honest, like Cork, their first half was extraordinary, leading 2-15 to 1-10 at the break. Limerick roared back like we all knew they would. I had the feeling that I was watching like Limerick hunting down their prey almost in Cork. I thought it was only a matter of time. And then Séamus Flanagan gets the goal to make his hat trick and put them ahead. And I thought that was that. Cork stay in the game, stay fighting back. Horgan gets the penalty. Bang, the crowd behind the goal just explode when Horgan hits the back of the net, and the scenes at the end caps it off. Just an amazing day for hurling and an amazing day for Cork. Matthew, your final thoughts on that game?
Just ecstasy more than anything from the Cork fans' point of view, and for Horgan as well. Like, you had to take that penalty under that amount of pressure. And I think Tommy Rooney had an interview last night and off the ball, and he asked Patrick Horgan about him facing up to Nicky Quaid, who he missed a penalty against a few seasons back in league or championship. I'm not sure what it was, but he was asking what went through his head, and Hoggy was basically saying, like, it's just what I do. It's that's it's just like playing hurling in the backyard, and all the pressure kind of, you had to do it at that moment. You had to do it. You had to just get it out of your head. This is a pressure cooker situation, and he did. What a penalty to get the winning goal in that moment. And the thing was as well, another final thought, Limerick played well, and that was the most pleasing aspect for this Cork win. Like, they had 78% of their shots over the bar, and Cork still beat them. Yeah. That shows you what a performance that was for the Rebels. And Tipperary is now a huge game next week.
Certainly is. Last comment here from this game, Stockman and Tim says Hannity and Hoggy run rail shut a lot of doubters up. They certainly did. I mean, you'd seen the one from Joe Cannon talking about how they were still there from the 2013 team and etc. But they showed they've still got a lot left in the tank. But they have to make it count by beating Tipperary, and this could be what sparks their season. Now, this game was one of the shocks of the weekend, no question about it. If you'd said to me at the start of this game that Carlow would draw with Kilkenny in Netwatch Cullen Park and could have beaten them, like, the game potentially was there for Carlow at the end. Carlow 120, Kilkenny 120 in Netwatch Cullen Park. The late equaliser from a free from Martin Kavanagh. Carlow really making a splash with this one, and the Leinster Championship this season in hurling is just absolutely off the rails. It's nuts. Another unexpected result.
Yeah, and the Leinster Championship is putting up to the Munster Championship now for excitement and everything like that. And I think our good friend Aaron Prendergast actually tweeted after the game, I wouldn't be surprised if Galway end up at the Joe McDonagh now. it's just
I mean, watching that game, I'm straight away thinking Carlow are going to beat Wexford. And then Wexford are going to beat Kilkenny. Dublin will probably pick out to beat Galway. Like, just, it's nuts.
It's unreal. And the thing was as well, and I thought as well, I did think there was, I didn't think they'd draw this game, because Kilkenny are still the aristocrats of hurling, no pun intended. They are still an absolutely incredible side, and they are a historic side in the Leinster Championship. So I didn't think Carlow would get anything out of this game. I did think they'd put it up to them in the first half because of the performance they put up against Galway. They were 4 points down in the 51st minute until Conor Cooney scored a goal. And in the second game against, I'm trying to remember, against Dublin, of course, they could have won that game other than the Fergal Whiteley fluky goal towards the end of that.
We were in trouble in that.
So I'm not surprised that Carlow put up such a performance like that. I am surprised at the draw. Like it's just incredible that Carlow got a draw out of this. Martin Kavanagh superb again. That Chris Nolan at 4 points. Conor Kehoe getting a brilliant goal in this game as well. Kevin McDonald, leader from centre back. So like Carlow had a lot of standout performers in this game, and brilliant result for Carlow. For Kilkenny though, is this a concern for them going into later on the championship? Because if Kilkenny had
was that you always thought Kilkenny won't get complacent, man. Kilkenny don't do upsets, and yet they got caught. Like, I was like, Wexford is like, you always know you can catch Wexford with an odd little upset. Dublin are very liable to it as well. I'm not putting Dublin in the same category as Kilkenny in terms of All-Ireland wins, but I'm saying in terms of teams that have been nailed on in the Leinster Championship, Galway, sometimes you can catch Galway, but Kilkenny never let their levels drop. At least we thought they didn't. By God, they let it drop yesterday.
And to be honest, like the whole team nearly did other than Owen Wall. To be fair, Owen Wall scoring 1-3 deserves a lot of praise as well. I know Kilkenny played badly throughout the game, but he's one guy that has stepped up from the club championship with O'Loughlin Gales. So that's one little positive for Kilkenny. But I think Derek Lean will be looking back at the last few games. Like against Galway, they were very, very poor in some aspects of the game as well. Yes, they hammered Antrim, but this game in particular, if they were to perform like that against Limerick, against Clare, against Cork, against Waterford, they would have been played off the park.
18 wides, man. 18 wides.
Can't get away with that.
Yeah.
Like it's just, it's madness. And it's a poor result for Kilkenny. And they'll be going to the next two games now. They'll be going into games like against Dublin and Wexford now, looking over their shoulders now. Because if
Dublin are playing them in Parnell Park, that's going to be difficult.
We'll get on to Dublin in a sec, but that's an absolutely incredible result for anything, more so for Dublin. Because look at them now on the table. They look really, really comfortable.
Never ever anticipated that at the start. A couple of comments here. Statsman says Cork's puckouts were so much better than they were against Clare. Outside of a few clangers, which Limerick punished them, I thought they did really well. Yeah, I think Collins was fantastic in goal. Obviously, the mistake with the short puckout, which O'Donoghue got turned over, that's in the highlights. But the reality is, all throughout the game, Cork got a lot of possessions off his puckouts. No little than the Shane Kingston penalty, came from Patrick Collins' puckout. Jer says, I was sceptical about a 6-team Leinster a few years back. Now I think an 8-team Leinster should be considered. I mean, Neil McManus made that point on the Saturday game last night. Definitely something worth considering. I think as the standard continues to go up. Stockroom Team says Leinster has been highly entertaining this year. Pity none of it is on TV. Of course, that's another debate. We're going to stick with the hurling. Back to Carlow Kilkenny. In this game, the main thing as well that you have to talk about here is how Carlow just stuck in the game. But one thing that definitely helped them, like in terms of doing that, was the red card. And I mean, this one's cut and dry for me. Absolute 100% red card. You cannot do that. He strikes Chris Nolan. It was Killian Doyle that did it. Like, he ran into you. He hit you a little shoulder. You can't belt him with the hurl. Like, what do you think you're doing? And to be fair, he didn't really argue it. He took his red card and walked. But that's a guy making his debut for Kilkenny, and not a debut to remember.
I suppose just blood going to the head, rush of blood. Mm-hmm. And that's the main thing out of that. And I don't think he'll be looking back at this game in fondness, honestly, Killian Doyle. But yeah, it was a clear red card. And I'd set up Carlow more than anything as well, that they did believe after that hold on a minute, there could be a result here for us. So I think Derek Lee will be looking back at that and saying to Killian Doyle, look, you can't do that. You can't do that and feel the battle and things like that. But yeah, I'm sure he'll learn. He's a young player. He recently come from the under-20s, I'm sure. So yeah, I think he'll learn from the experience there. But it was a poor decision, really poor decision. And it allowed Carlow a bit of oxygen to go back into the game. And that's what Kilkenny didn't need at that point. And it happened.
Yeah, it certainly didn't. I mean, like the way that Carlow just deputised Kevin MacDonald as a spare man back, he was absolutely immense. And then Stockington says, imagine if he had a debut like that under Cody, we wouldn't see him again. I think is the answer to that question. We wouldn't be seeing him in the Kilkenny panel again if he did that on his debut. A2 says, for you, Matthew, no Matthew rant about Cork tonight. No, Matthew's a happy man tonight. No question, and a happy man last night as well. Joseph Nash says, it was a great game and a great Cork win, but are the Limerick injuries catching up with them? That's another thing to think about as well. Like Sean Finn hobbled off. Peter Casey's obviously injured. Mike Casey is injured. Like, they're fairly battered and bruised, because you have to think as well, one thing that people don't reference a lot is every time that Limerick come to play against a team, that is the game for that team to focus on. It's the All-Ireland champions coming into town. And every game that Garrod Hegarty Keane Lynch that they go into, Aaron Gillan that they go into, they have somebody who's been prepped, picked, and ready to mark him. Do you know what I mean? Like every game Gillan goes into, he knows Conor Cleary's been prepped to mark him. Sean O'Donoghue's been prepped to mark him. And can you imagine if just one day he just wakes up with a bit of a headache, he doesn't feel the best, and then there's someone ready waiting to absolutely tear into him when the match starts. But yeah, they are the best team that I think I've seen, and it speaks how good Cork are that they managed to actually beat them last night. Going back to the Carlow-Kilkenny game, when Kilkenny went in at half-time, obviously they were ahead by 5, and I was thinking, like, even Carlow, as well as they've done, Kilkenny are going to come out in the second half and they're going to pull away. Kilkenny came out very quickly, went 8 points ahead. I thought there's no way Carlow are going to pull them back, but they just did. A massive double save by Brian Tracy from Tom Phelan and Mossy Keown very much kept them in it. Chris Nolan at 11 really kept Carlow in it as well, just constantly tapping over scores. And then, of course, the big play was when they got points from Paddy Boland and Nolan. They were just staying close to them, and then they got their turbo boost with the goal from Conor Keogh. And then they equalise. TJ gets a bit of magic, hits 2 points for Kilkenny. Carlow get one back from John Doyle, and then Martin Kavanagh equalised from the free. Carlow, the main thing that you can say in this is, by God, they just were determined and they never gave up.
Yeah, that's epitomised their Joe McDonagh Cup form as well, because when you look at the last season, they were underdogs going to that game against Offaly, and they were underdogs in many people's books going to the Joe McDonagh season, never mind the final. Like, you look at the teams in that competition, the likes of Laois, the likes of Kerry, who reached a number of finals previous to that season, and Offaly themselves, who have some very good young players coming through. And I suppose it does epitomise that Carlow have heart under Tom Mullally, and that has to be taken into account as well, that ever since he's come into the Carlow job, he has improved things. And in fairness to Carlow, they got the result yesterday, and they have been close to getting to a result. This has been coming. I didn't think it would come against Kilkenny, but it has been coming. Like, the performance against Galway was encouraging. They should have won against Dublin. I don't care what you have to say or Aaron has to say. They should have beat Dublin in Netwatch Cullen Park. But they got the result they deserved last night. And the key thing is, their last 2 games now, in no particular order, are against Wexford and against Antrim. They're 2 winnable games. So I think Carlow could be going to those 2 games very, very in very happy states at the moment. But at the same time, there was a situation last season, Westmeath beat Wexford and then went into the Antrim game and lost. Carlow just have to keep that momentum going now, keep this run coming up, and go for full hell for later for them 2 games. And possibly there might even be a 3rd place there for Carlow. We'll see.
Yeah, no, that's it. Quintin says Carlow showed as much fight as Cork did versus Limerick. I thought that they were finished for sure when TJ got the 2 late scores. Yeah, like I completely agree with what Séamus Hickey said on the I think I seen Séamus Hickey, what he said in the punditry on GA Go, is he was saying that, like, I thought that they had just let it slip. Like, I thought they just missed the opportunity. I thought it was there for them. And yeah, then Joseph says here, I've never seen the celebrations at the end of the game. Cork-Limerick game, Cork crowd went crazy as it looked like Limerick had pulled it back. I mean, that certainly was how the game looked there. Yeah, for Carlow, it's absolutely huge. What does this say about Kilkenny, though? Because you're obviously talking now they go away to Dublin. Like, and Dublin are going to be absolutely have the house rocking for them. Yeah, like, obviously, last thing, massive shout out to Kevin MacDonald. I think he deserves a special shout out. He was absolutely unbelievable. But throwing it back to Kilkenny then, 18 wides in this game, Dublin next in Parnell Park. Like, Derek Ling is going to have to rally the troops here because they're not out of the woods yet. And I think the sooner that they can get Owen Cody, Adrian Mullen, Michael Carey, the sooner that they can get the band back, the better.
Yeah, exactly. And they need these guys back, especially for the last 2 games, because not just against Dublin, but against a Wexford team that nearly always beat them.
Yeah, so and the Wexford team is probably going to need to beat them as well.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
no,
yeah, we should slander Wexford, especially when they're not playing this weekend. But look, look, Kilkenny will look at a few aspects of this game and they'll be very disappointed. But at 18 wides, it's not good. And they do have players to come back, which is the main thing about it. And Killian Doyle get the red card. I'm sure he he has to learn from that as well. Like, yeah, there were, like, Katie scored 3 points from midfield. Martin Keown scored 3 points. So it wasn't all doom and gloom from a Kilkenny point of view. There were some good individual performances from them. TJ showed some signs of brilliance, as he usually does. 6 points overall. Tom Phelan had a good performance as well. Owen Wall was exceptional in fairness. And to be honest, with Owen Wall, why Kilkenny brought him off in the 58 minutes look at Scorpio, I'm actually not sure.
Yeah.
He scored one try for play. He was the guy on form. If Derek Lynn kept him on, we could have been talking about a different story today. So
yeah,
that's the thing.
He was the only one really putting it up and causing problems for the Carlow boy. I think TJ had some okay moments, but the rest of them were very quiet. Tom Phelan hit some nice points, but they were just slow and they were missing a lot and they just looked disjointed. And I think even at half time when Kilkenny were 5 points clear, we were like, a lot of people were still saying like, they still aren't moving well. They're still not clicking well. And Joseph says here, Kilkenny have Dublin's number. Dublin don't seem to have it between the ears to beat Kilkenny. I would agree with you, especially over the last few years. But then again, like at the same time, the amount of absolutely bizarre results we've seen in Championship 2024, I think if there's ever a year that Dublin can probably rectify this, it's this year, especially when you see Carlow being able to go and do that against them. I think that there's a potential blueprint there for Dublin to follow. But then also Dublin's performances have been getting better, especially this one against Antrim. Dublin 3-32, Antrim a goal in 18. This game started off as good as it possibly could have for Dublin. A very eye-catching result. Paul Crummy got them off to a blinder as he slapped home a goal from a long ball inside 15 seconds. When Brian Hayes got Dublin second in the 58th minute, that was the killer for Antrim. And then Donald Burke got a goal from a free to push the gap out even further. Dublin absolutely dominated from the Antrim puck out. Their physicality, the likes of Chris Crummy, Owen O'Donnell, all just absolutely dominated. And yeah, it's a very, very impressive result by Dublin.
It's really, really good in fairness. And given the result that the Antrim team got against Wexford, this was important for Dublin because this was a potential banana skin for them. I know Antrim haven't been very good on the road, but Dublin still had to start off out the traps well. And that Paul Crummy goal and John Bellew point, that was an ideal start for them. And they kicked on from that moment. Like Donald Burke scoring 111, I think it's self-explanatory at this stage that Donald Burke is the main man for Dublin, and if he's fit, Dublin have a chance. And when you look at it last season, like against Clare in the quarterfinal in particular, I know Dublin flattered us even that game, but Donald Burke went off injured early in that game, and ever since that moment happened, Clare ran all over you. So I think it's crucial that Dublin keep this guy fit. And I think that was the main aim for Micheál Donoghue for the rest of the season. Like Sean Curry had a good performance. Conor Burke at midfield, actually 5 points for play. Very impressive performance from him. Really. So yeah, I do think, Dublin did very well throughout the whole game. You look at John Bellew as well, 2 points for play. Danny Sutcliffe chipped in as well. Paul Crummy obviously as well. Sean Brennan seems to be doing well in goal. Owen O'Donnell, new position at wing back, seems to be doing well in that position. And Dublin 5 points at the board from 3 games. And that's a good return. It's a really good return.
To be fair, Dublin are the only ones that haven't slipped up. Like Dublin are the only ones that haven't let their level drop in a game that Dublin have actually, mad enough, Dublin have been the most consistent.
Yeah, and I think as well, look, the Kilkenny game, there is a possibility that Dublin could beat them in Parnell Park. There is that chance that Dublin fans will get hyped up and things like that. But I think the most realistic chance for Dublin to win a game against the so-called Big Two in Leinster actually is against Galway. I know it's in Pearse Stadium. I know it's a long journey, but that Galway team ain't great now. And Dublin seem to be getting a bit of confidence going. So I believe Dublin, if they get their confidence up for that game in particular, I do think there's a chance that they beat Galway and maybe even knock Galway out of the championship. Like history could repeat itself. They did so in 2019. Like they could do so again.
Yeah, I don't know who on the other side this time. Who knows? But yeah, like look, the thing is that one thing I've noticed is that Dublin fans kind of smell blood a little bit with Kilkenny now. Like I was talking to a few Dublin fans that were like, when they heard that the game was in Parnell Park, a lot of people were like, Parnell Park, Kilkenny, I'll go to that. I think Parnell Park will be buzzing. I really think Parnell Park will be packed to the brim, and I think a lot of people will sense a potential upset on the cards. I think it will be Similar to Pat Gilroy when he had Dublin hurling for 1 year. Obviously, Kilkenny ran out winners. Liam Blanchfield broke my heart that day. Fella scored a last-minute winning goal for Kilkenny, but I think it will give off the same atmosphere that Dublin believe that we can beat them. Will we? Like, if I'm putting my life on it, I'd probably say Kilkenny will probably find a way to win, but I think we've a better chance now than we have had for a long, long time. Stockington says, I'm not even sure how many points everyone is on as Leinster. Joseph says, Antrim were disappointing after beating Wexford. They needed to push on and turn up. Yeah, you're right. They didn't really turn up to their best in that game. Jer says, Antrim have had memorable days under Darren Gleeson, but have they gotten a result against a top-tier team outside Corrigan Park? This is a very good one to have a look at. Off the top of my head, I can't really remember. I know they've had some good displays. I don't think they've beaten anyone outside of Corrigan Park. Have they?
They did beat Westmeath last year at a relegation 4-pointer, but that's it. But George Point there is a top tier team, and Westmeath ain't that. So I don't think they have no.
Yeah. So says Dublin were blessed versus Wexford, but they stayed plugging away and got a result. Yeah, absolutely. Of course, the 2 late goals got Dublin a draw on that one. Joseph says Dublin do give Galway problems. And Stockton says Leinster is mad how so many different teams seem to have each other's number. That's it. Like, the funniest dynamic is I always say that Wexford can never seem to beat Dublin. Kilkenny can never seem to beat Wexford, and Dublin can never seem to beat Kilkenny. But we'll see if anything out of that triangle is different this year. I certainly hope that it is. But yeah, Christy Ring Cup then. We'll round up these results. The Christy Ring Cup, Derry beat London 222 to 213 in Owen Begg. Kildare hammered Tyrone 231 to 11 points in Dungannon, and Wicklow beat Sligo 216 to 117 in Ockram. So round 4, the Christy Ring in the books.
Yeah, and that was a big result for Derry. I did not expect to see this coming. The way how London and Kildare were going to a Christy Ring final and things like that. No, the pressure's on London next time out against Kildare. They have to win. And how quickly does this change? Because London, they look so flawless. They had the best attack in the Christy Ring Cup. They had the best defence. And Derry just rock up and beat them. Like, it's absolutely exceptional, more than anything from a Derry point of view. Like, Rory O'Meehan, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, scoring 1-3 from play. Brilliant performance from him. Cormac O'Doherty as well, and Christy McNaughton. So really, really good performance from Derry. And to be honest, at home in Owen Begg, they might have smelled blood to go after this London team, and by God they did. So fair play to Derry for doing that. Kildare, comfortable really against Tyrone. David Qualter, good form there. Jack Sheridan, Cian Boran as well. So yeah, I think Kildare are going to be in the Christy Ring Cup final. They only need a draw the last game against London, which I think that should be the least that they can do against London. But then again, I think if Derry win their last game and London beat Kildare, 3 of them will be on 8 points, and they'll go down to points difference. So what an ending we have to the Christy Ring Cup. So it's an entertaining ending we do have. As for relegation dogfight, brilliant win for Wicklow today by a point against Sligo. Brilliant. I think Warren Kavanagh was a brilliant form, and so was Gary Hughes with 1-1 each. So for Wicklow to get that win is absolutely crucial, because both sides were on 0 points going into this weekend. Wicklow got the 2 points, and it looks like Sligo are edging ever closer, unfortunately, to the Nicky Rackard.
Yeah, no, certainly. The Nicky Rackard, speaking of that, we'll round up the Nicky Rackard Cup round 4 and the Lory Man, and then we're on to the Armagh Donegal Ulster final. A lot to dig into in that game as well. Nicky Rackard Cup round 4, Monaghan and Louth. They finished Monaghan 2-17, Louth 4 goals and 12. So Louth snatching a win in Inniskeen. Mayo battered Armagh 4-29 to 1-16, and Donegal beat Roscommon 1-25 to 2-10 in Dr. Hyde Park. So Mayo and Donegal again marking themselves as the ones to watch.
Yeah, that game between Mayo and Roscommon on match day 5 is crucial now, because whoever wins that will be in their Nicky Rackard Cup final against Donegal. And Donegal, that was a top of the table clash against Roscommon, and they put them away. What a performance from the 125 they got on the board here. Sean Ward got 1-3 from centre back, which is an absolutely incredible tanny, in fairness to him. Liam McKenny and Jerry Gilmore, 8 points each as well. Brilliant performance from a Donegal point of view. From Mayo as well, they put away Armagh with ease, 4-29. To put them that on the board in a Nicky Rackard Cup game is absolutely brilliant from their point of view. Cormac Phillips, Shane Boland, brilliant performance from them. And for Louth to get the win against Monaghan, tight win, but again, like the Wicklow Sligo game, crucial in terms of relegation. I think Monaghan might be just it might be a bit too much for Monaghan now. I think they might go right back down to the Lory Cup.
Yeah, no, certainly those results aren't great. And then moving to the Lory Cups round 4, Fermanagh beating Lancashire 123 to 20 points in Brewster Park. Longford beating Cavan 25 points to 119 in Breffni Park, and Leitrim beat Warwickshire 225 to 16 points in Drumshanbo.
Yeah, brilliant results for Longford here, because that was again at top of the table clash, and Longford now have to only win their last game, and they're in the Nicky Rackard Cup final, or the Lory Cup final, against probably Fermanagh. Like, Fermanagh have kept that winning run going. They've only drawn to Cavan really across this campaign, so really good campaign from a Fermanagh point of view, with Brian Teahan scoring 1-2 in that game, Sean Corrigan and Dan Hugh brilliant as well, and Luca McCusker chipping in as well from a Fermanagh point of view, so good performance from them. But the main result was the Longford win over Cavan. The Keane Darcy got 14 points for Longford, which is an incredible tally, in fairness to him. So, yeah, brilliant result for Longford. It looks like it's going to be a Longford-Fermanagh final, even though Cavan showed a bit of form in the last few weeks, but that result against Longford is now crucial.
It certainly is, and Longford certainly upsetting the form books with that one. Jer says, according to the Irish Examiner, if Derry beat Sligo, they will qualify for the Christy Ring final. So that with that result, they've certainly turned their season around. And then, speaking of potentially turning your season around, I mean, Armagh, man, literally, I don't even know what to say anymore. Like, Armagh 20, Donegal 20, Donegal wins 6-5 on penalties. Like, as I was saying, it would be almost like a banter prediction at the start if you were to say Armagh are going to lose on penalties, because you'd be thinking, how on earth can you lose 4 penalty shootouts in the span of 2 years? But it's happened again. I don't even know what to say.
It's fate.
It's just meant to be. It's like, did they do something? Like, did they hurt someone, or like, you know what I mean? What? Why on earth? Like, you're talking about the Mayo curse in 1951. Yeah. Like, I mean, Armagh must have got a curse placed on them in 2009 or something, because 08's the last time they won an Ulster championship.
It's just if you wouldn't laugh at this stage, Séamus should cry, because it's just, like, and the thing was with Armagh, and you have to give them praise, they did so many things right in this one.
Yeah.
And they still lost. Like, it's like, when you think about it, they had more shots than Donegal, they had more possession, they did more scores from play. It was level, but it was level for most of the game. But Armagh had more shots than Donegal and still lost. Yeah. They lost, and like, it is just, and they did everything to counteract the penalty issue. Like, they put Blaine Hughes in goal instead of Ethan Rafferty, a proper goalkeeper. Ethan Rafferty was brilliant at his role in the fly goalkeeper, but he wasn't an expert at stopping penalties. Blaine Hughes apparently was. They put him into goal, and they still lose. It's almost like whatever they do, whatever they change, it's still going to be the same fate. They're still going to lose the penalties. And I wouldn't be shocked. At this stage, Séamus, at this stage, I would be shocked if they faced Clare in an All-Ireland quarter-final in Croke Park, and the game went to penalties and Armagh lost.
It's just meant to be, really, that they just lose penalties. I mean, I was watching the game there live after the Dublin Loud game. I met a few of my friends in the pub and we were watching the Donegal Armagh, and I was just like genuinely watching it, being like, this is going to go to penalties. Just as Armagh were 1 point up with a few minutes to go in normal time, I was just like, this is going to go to penalties, because it's Armagh. It has to be the most dramatic possible ending and the most dramatic possible heartbreak, or the most dramatic possible success. So Stockholm tagged on to that comment, said the quality of penalties was brilliant, miles better than soccer, and they have much bigger goals. Not that I think it's a good way to sort a game. Certainly, I mean, Armagh would be probably your biggest your biggest how could I say, people in favor of bringing back replays, because goodness gracious, I mean, they literally couldn't have done worse with penalties. And like, this is what I'm saying, is that for an Armagh player there, I just wonder, would your head have been like, the minute it goes to penalties, are you like, oh, fuck, like, darling, here we go again? Like, I mean, I can't believe that we're back here again. And like, you want to talk about the fine margins. if Kieran McGeeney, if you take, like, this is just a perfect example of just that you can be lucky or unlucky. When you want to talk about fine margins, if you were to take every penalty shootout that Armagh have lost under Kieran McGeeney and turn all the results so that they win all 4 rather than lose all 4, Armagh would be back-to-back Ulster champions, and they would have made it to back-to-back All-Ireland semi-finals, at least, if not kicked on and made it to the final and potentially done okay and had a crack at the All-Ireland. Like, those are the fine margins. He has been astonishingly unlucky, and to lose on penalties again, it's just heartbreaking.
It is, and I suppose it goes back to the Cork and Limerick argument earlier in the hurling. Cork have been on the edge so close, and they lost so many games in them tight pressure situations. It's only a matter of time, surely, Séamus, surely a matter of time before Armagh's luck starts to turn. Because you
were thinking, I was watching it, like, I was like, do you know what? If they beat Donegal, it kind of heals the wounds a little bit. Tiny bit, not the full way, but it's like when Mayo beat Dublin in 21, and it was just like a little bit of a, you get something back.
And
but the penalties, like, again, you've just been slapped in the face again for daring to believe that you could win. But like, let's break the actual game down. 70 minutes, Armagh had chances to put that away in the 70 minutes. They were a point up with a few minutes to go. Donegal got their equaliser, and then in extra time, again, Donegal got a late equaliser. So Armagh had chances to get the game finished. Jer says, by the way, Matthew, I'm here for that prediction on Clare winning on penalties. Jer's as passionate a Clare man as you'll ever meet, so he's delighted with that prediction. But yeah, you were saying.
Yeah, look at the scores timeline here. Like it was Armagh 15 points, Donegal 11 in, I think it was the 17th minute of the second half. So that's about, I'm trying to think now, the 52nd minute of the game with 18 minutes to go. Armagh didn't score a single point from the 52nd minute up until the 73rd minute of normal time.
Yeah, there you go.
That does just show they do not have a killer instinct in finishing off these games. Conor Turbot was on form. You had Aidan Nugent even in form in extra time. And let's not forget, Donegal had to equalise in normal time and extra time at the end of both to get even to firstly extra time and secondly the penalties. So on the offset, Armagh deserved to win the game, if any of the two deserved to win it, because it was so evenly matched and it was just, topsy-turvy throughout. But if any team deserved to win it, look at the scores timeline and all that, Armagh deserved to win it. But they threw it away. Simple as that. Not to score for, what is it, James? I'm trying to count, for 21 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it's just unforgivable. It is really. It's just really, really poor from an Armagh point of view. And I think there was a stage at the end of normal time where Tiernan Kelly calls a mark. He's way out for the goal. Like, this has appeared when the thunderstorms
last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he missed it. And it's just the whole Armagh bottling it, and it's gonna come up again. And it's just it's unfortunate from an Armagh point of view because, and as well as that, Joanne Cantwell mentioned this so many times with the penalties as well. Most county, or the majority of inter-county teams, have never had a penalty shootout, and Armagh have had 4 and lost every single one of them.
It's just like bizarre, absolutely baffling. I mean, to think that I wonder what the odds would have been on that if you were to go into the bookies at the time and say Armagh are going to get 4 penalty shootouts in the next 2 years. They're going to lose all of them. What are the odds? I don't even know what you get given on that. 5,000 to 1, maybe a Leicester City style one. But yeah, absolutely extraordinary that this has happened to them again. But before we move on from this game and leave it, a word on Donegal and a word on Jim McGuinness, because with the mythology around Jim McGuinness and with the kind of godlike figure he's become with Donegal, and Jimmy's been in matches and everything like that, he comes back to Donegal and everybody just assumed that Donegal would just go like that. and go back to winning ways. And the reality is, it has happened, but that wasn't always guaranteed. Jim has come back and has absolutely smashed it out of the park. They've gone from being absolutely rolled off last year, looking like they were going off a cliff, down to Division 2 with a whimper. He's turned them around. Division 2 champions and Ulster champions. I mean, taking out Derry, Tyrone and Armagh on the way. Just amazing.
It's an unreal achievement. And in competitive competitions, other than the Gaelic Cup now, Donegal haven't lost a game yet. Which is, it's incredible. It's an incredible record to have in the books. And this was without Paddy McBurty from the start as well. They dropped him, to gain a bit of confidence. They brought in Owen Ball Gallagher. Great to see him back, by the way. But Oisin Gallagher was a guy that stepped up more than anything today. From full forward, 6 points, 4 from play, Patter Brogan as well. And some of these players, there was potential in the likes of Shane O'Donnell, the likes of Niall O'Donnell, the likes of Michael Langan. But Jim McGuinness has just brought them onto another level. Look at Brendan Cole, for example. A big part player under the likes of Declan Bonner and under Paddy Carr in the last 2 seasons. But now he's one of the best defenders in the country under McGuinness. That just doesn't happen by accident. And I think he's done absolutely brilliant in fairness to Jim McGuinness. Caelan McGonigal seems to be a change player as well. Like, there's Paddy Morgan at wing back, performed well at that position again today. Jack McKelvey came on and got a point. Or Doherty getting that last minute point in extra time. And, a lot of battle for him to step up and get that point. But that confidence has been drilled into them by this man, Jim McGuinness. And he's just an unreal manager. And what Leo McClune actually said on your podcast, what was the difference between Jim McGuinness at the start of his tenure in 2011 to now, is there's a lot more expectation under him and there was a lot more pressure under him. Mm-hmm. He has silenced the doubters. He's done absolutely brilliant in fairness to him. And Donegal seem a changed team at the moment. And they go into the All-Ireland group stage now with a lot of confidence. There's Tyrone in 2 weeks now in Ballybuffet. Actually, an interesting encounter considering the history between those two counties. So yeah, looking forward to it.
It's going to be an absolute cracker, especially when you consider how the sides were just neck and neck in the Ulster semi-final a couple of weeks ago. Jer says here, trivia question: first senior football championship match to be decided on a penalty shootout. Answer may surprise you. We've a guest in here from Stockroom, Tim. Matthew, what do you think it is?
Clare versus Limerick in 2022.
That's exactly the same as Tim's answer. Jer, I'm sure you will confirm. Is that correct? But we'll carry on with the debate anyway, and we'll see. Does Jer get back to us, Matthew? I'd be fairly confident. I'm pretty sure it is correct. He says here, yeah, that's it, exactly. And Tim, you're correct as well. My mind went to the Leitrim-Sligo penalty shootout in the Táilteann Cup as well, of course, a couple of years ago when the Táilteann Cup kicked off. But yeah, so Donegal are Ulster champions 2024, an extraordinary turnaround. Jim McGuinness showing that the first time he took Donegal from nowhere to Ulster Kings was no coincidence and no fluke at all, because he's come back and he's done it again. We had another men's provincial football final across today. Dublin beat Louth 119 to 212 in Croke Park. This game was strange. Like, I'm being honest, it was, because you knew you have to give credit to Louth first of all. Louth came with a game plan. Ger Brennan very much had them set out. They completely dropped off Stephen Cluxton's kickouts. They let Dublin have at it with that. Their plan was very simple for me. It was very Roscommon-esque in the group stages of the championship last year. Hold on to the ball for as long as possible. Eamon Fitzmaurice was talking about it on the commentary as well, that it was very similar to that. Take the sting out of the game. Do not let Dublin build up ahead of momentum, because if you do and the game becomes loose, Dublin will tear you apart. Louth were hanging in the game. Sam Mulroy was amazing. Conor Grimes was outstanding. Niall Sharkey ran his legs into the ground. Tommy Dernan was brilliant. Louth were very good, and they got about as close as anybody has got to Dublin. And it's actually, as you said, the closest that anybody's gotten to Dublin in the Leinster final since 2012. So Louth, while they are on the wrong side of the result, they can leave Croke Park with their heads held high. Dublin, though, it's a 14th Leinster title in a row.
Yeah, and looking at that headline, you would have said, oh, this is an expected ending. The Seagulls might have got a few, crumbs off the floor and stuff like that in Croke Park. But when you look into the game, Louth were in it. And like Kieran Keenan getting that goal early on in the second half, I was thinking, wow, this could be a shock here. And Loud seems to be going well. And then Dar McDonald, to be fair to him, did really, really well throughout the whole game. But that kick out, I think Tom LaHaye intercepted it. Then Jack McCaffrey goes on his signature run, passes to Connacht in goal, and that was probably it. That was game, set, and match after that. And to be fair, Lowe got to go through Craig Lennon, a well-taken goal at the very end of the game to preserve a very good performance from the Lowe team. But yeah, it was an excellent performance from Lowe, defensively and offensively as well, because they had 19 shots, 73% shot accuracy, Lowe. They converted 14 of their shots out of 19. That's what you need to do to go up to Croke Park against Dublin, to defend as a unit and to do well in the attacking stakes as well. There's been so many times Leinster teams go up to Croke Park and they kick 50%, 45%, but Loud nailed to them. And I have to say, Sam Roy was brilliant in fairness. Conor Grimes was my man of the match, personally. 4 points from play, was running up and down the field to get them 4 points as well under them pressure situations was brilliant in its own right. Tommy Jordan had a very good performance. Darren McDonald, other than that mistake for the O'Callaghan goal, had a very good performance as well. Leonard Gray ran his socks off, as you mentioned there. Niall Sharkey did as well. Kieran Downey added a bit of impetus in the Loud forward line. So really, really good performance from Loud, and they should be very proud of their efforts. And going into a group now with Monaghan and Meath in it in the All-Irelands, I think they will be confident that they could get a few points here or there. So Loud are on a good, steady upward trajectory. As for Dublin, to be honest, Séamus, it looked like they kind of took this for granted. Like everybody was saying, they said that everybody was saying at the start of the week that okay, the Seagulls will do well to get a few crumbs and things like that. The stadium will be empty. Dublin will ease to victory here. And I think the players just took that literally. Other than Brian Fenton in the first half, who was keeping them in the game more than I think scored 3 points from play. I think Dublin were very, very poor. But will they be concerned? I think it was just complacency more than anything. It wasn't the fact that Dublin were awful. I think it was just the fact that they didn't expect Loud to be that good. And they kind of got caught a few times today, and they got away with one, but 14 places for title in a row, whoopie-doo.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you summed it up pretty well there. I don't think Dublin are exactly out on the town tonight with their Leinster title. They're happy, yeah. There's another one into the bag, but I don't think anybody will be absolutely over the moon with the performance as well. I think Desi will be quite annoyed with the performance. But look, Dublin knew that they were extreme favourites for this game. Loud very much played into that as well. Loud dropped off them. I think Dublin would have expected that Loud were terrified of them with the way that Loud approached the game. And Dublin certainly, definitely messed around with the ball a lot. They only took 6 of their 13 scoring opportunities in the first half. Loud led at halftime. I think I can't remember the last time anybody led against Dublin at halftime in the Leinster Championship. But it's just absolutely, it's something that is so hard for a Leinster team to actually believe that they can go to Croke Park and beat Dublin. And I think the main teams that should be looking at that is Kildare and Meath. That Loud went there. Loud put it up to Dublin. Loud didn't back down. Loud fought until the last minute. Why did Meath turn up and just get their ass whooped? And they seemed pretty happy to take their beating and go home. Why were Meath able to beat Loud in the league, but then completely crumble when they came up to Croke Park to play Dublin? I think it's something that they need to kind of look at themselves a little bit as well and think, why could Loud go toe-to-toe with Dublin for 68 minutes and we couldn't go toe-to-toe with them for 30 minutes? So, look, Dublin, on the other hand, it's not a performance I'd be concerned about. It was a job to get done. It was a box to get ticked at this stage. It's the way that the Leinster Championship has been for Dublin. The box got ticked. Dublin got the win, through to the next round as Leinster champions, through to the All-Ireland group stages. Louth, I think, would give them a great chance of getting a win against a Meath or a Monaghan and getting out of the group. I really, really do. But yeah, Dublin Leinster champions for the 14th year in a row. I don't think there's much more else to say other than Sam Roy, Conor Grimes, outstanding performances. Leave Croke Park with your head held high, no doubt. The Táilteann Cup also began over the weekend. Round 1, and we're going to run through all the games. We're going to do it a group at a time because we're already an hour and 14 minutes into this episode, and it is 9:15. So Group 1 of the Táilteann Cup, we're just going to go into it now. So all eyes are on Kildare There were even more eyes on them when they switched the game to play it in Hawkfield, and Kildare battered Longford 325 to 111. I thought Kildare just had the shackles off in this game. Paddy Woodgate hit the back of the net twice. His second goal made it 220 to 8 points. Darren Gallagher got a consolation goal for Longford, but Paddy McDermott responded with the final score of the game for Kildare with a lovely third goal. It's a positive day for Kildare. Could they be Meath 2.0 is my question to you. They had 13 different scorers in this game. In the other game, Leitrim beat Waterford 17 points to 12. Waterford, though, showing signs of improvement under Paul Shanky. They were there with Leitrim for long periods, apart from Leitrim's strong second half performance.
Yeah, first out Kildare, I think that was an expected result to beat Longford. I think most people were just asking during the week what sort of Kildare temperament would come up to Hawkfield. I was going to say Newbridge there, but no, it was in a strange old venue there. But look, yeah, it was a good result for Kildare. Like Paddy McDermott had a good performance, as you mentioned there. Paddy Woodgate as well. And it's just about confidence for Kildare, just to gain a few wins. Like, that's only their second win of the year in competitive terms anyway. Their first was against Wicklow, where they could have easily lost that game in the Leinster Championship. So to get a win like that, it will give a bit of confidence to the Kildare players. And I think Glenn Roy will be quite happy with that performance. But again, they have to go on and win this group and win this competition to, salvage some part of the season. As for Leitrim and Waterford, I think Waterford acquitted themselves well, to be fair to them. Like, Tom O'Connell had a good performance, Jason Curry as well. So Waterford should be very proud of their efforts, but Leitrim just had too much on the day. Ryan O'Rourke and Nathan Flynn from quarterback had a good performance for Leitrim. But yeah, you'd expect Leitrim and Kildare to be top two in the group. But for Waterford, an encouraging display.
Certainly, and then they definitely, like, the other thing as well with Kildare is they care. Like, I was there in Croke Park towards the semi-final. They were throwing themselves in front of loud shots, giving it all they had. They were just making mistakes, and yeah, they think they're feeling the pressure. Here's the comment in here. He says, let's hear it for the no double digits victories in the provincial finals this year. I mean, that's pretty good stat when we had a lot of them. He said that's a man was out of both counties were the first in both codes. Actually, yes, Stockholm says here earlier, didn't Clare and Limerick have the first 65 shootout in Hurling 2 in a league game around 2017 or 2018? And Jay responds saying, yeah, 2018 league quarter final, it was a mad game. And that's why Tim is saying that's a mad one, that both counties were involved in the first in both codes, a way to decide the game like that. Something about Clare and Limerick being the breeding ground. The Táilteann Cup's round 1 for Group 2. Let's move on to the next ones here. So all eyes on Sligo in this group. They started off with a 6-point win over Wexford, 221 to 215. Alan McLaughlin up 1-5 while Mikey Gordon hit the other goal. The Sligo saw off Wexford in an entertaining contest. Gordon's goal came in the 11th minute. Dylan Furlong responded with a goal in the 18th minute for Wexford as they led 1-8 to 1-7 at halftime in Markievicz Park. In the second half, McLaughlin responded with a goal quickly after the restart. Sean Carabine tagged on more points. Wexford responded with a goal from Glenn Malone in the 64th minute that made it 217 to 214 to Sligo, and the 8th County held on from there for victory. Today, we had the second game in that group as well. Antrim beating Tipperary 4-12 to 213 in Corrigan Park. Andy McEntee's side off to a much-needed winning start.
Yeah, exactly. A very good win for Antrim, but for Sligo, that was a sticky game to overcome against Wexford. And Wexford were ahead at that half time. And to be honest, I know Sligo performed well against Galway, but I wasn't surprised because I knew Wexford are a very, very good side. And Sligo had to bring the A game to come over Wexford. And to be fair to them, they did. Alan McLaughlin, in particular, from centre forward, 1-5. Mikey Gordon, as you mentioned, with the other goal as well. So good performance from Sligo, but brilliant from Glenn Malone as well. He must be some scoring sensation at wing back. I think every game I see with Wexford, he scores about 1-2 per game, and he's a wing back. I'm not sure what. Do Wexford employ him as an extra attacker, or what's the story there? But it's an incredible tally, to be fair to him. But good win from Sligo, a Sligo point of view. And good win for Antrim as well. Like, speaking of defenders, Ewan Walsh and Cavan Keenan both got goals from the full back line. So that was a bit of a weird thing from that point of view. Rory McCann as well bagged a brace of goals from an Antrim point of view as well. For Tipperary, Conor Sweeney got 1-7, but to be fair, other than him, I don't think there was much on the Tipperary side today, despite Sean O'Connor starting in this one. But yeah, Tipperary on a slippery slope, but Antrim, good start for them. But Antrim and Wexford, it should be interesting to see who gets second in that one.
Certainly will be. I mean, especially after the performance that Wexford put up in that game against Sligo showed that they were no schmucks, and Antrim starting off their one with a win. That will be certainly one to watch. Táilteann Cup round 1, group 3. So in this group, all eyes are on Fermanagh to see if they can make up for their disappointing Táilteann Cup campaign last year. Certainly starting off like they mean business. Sean Cassidy and Conor Love twice hit the goals as Fermanagh battered Wicklow 3-16 to 9 points to open their Táilteann Cup campaign. Bad performance by Wicklow, has to be said, to open up their campaign. Laois and Carlow played out a very entertaining 2-17 draw apiece in O'Moore Park. 2 late goals from Aaron Almond snatched a draw for Carlow in a game that Laois looked like they were cruising home to the finish line.
Yeah, that was surprising, actually, the Laois and Carlow game. If I may start that, like Aaron Almond with 2-2 in this game, a late penalty to get a draw on this, so very good result for Carlow. And I wonder, is he related to Pádraig Almond, the player that scored against Man City at the FA Cup a few seasons ago, and coincidentally from Carlow. So it would be...
It's a very unique second name anyway.
Yeah, I would be surprised if they are related, but really good result from the Carlow point of view. Mark Barry getting 1-6 from Laois, Rian Murphy getting 1-2. So it seemed like, as you mentioned there, they were cruising in the game. But Carlow in this competition, for some reason, they turn into prime Brazil. I'm not sure what's the deal with Carlow. Like, they do well, they do poorly in the Alliance League and the Leinster Championship, but then the Táilteann Cup, they seem to turn it on just like that. But that's Carlow for you. But for Fermanagh, what a result. And it just shows that if they take this competition seriously, which they didn't do last year, they could be a major threat in this. So really good result against a decent Wicklow side. So Sean Cassidy, one of the top scorers from playing Division 2, and he's bringing this form into the Táilteann Cup as well. So Fermanagh are ones to watch.
They certainly are. And then we're going to move on to the final group of the Táilteann Cup, where they had their round 1 in group 4 as well. Down at the side that everybody's watching, they're the side that I picked to win at the start of the campaign. I'm less confident about that now that Kildare are in town. I probably would put it right between the two of them now, as of course I made the prediction for Down to win when Kildare were not in the Táilteann Cup. Down 120, Limerick 1-6 in Uri. Conor Laverty's side led 10-4 at half time. Then a Daniel Guinness goal on 40 minutes made it 1-11-5. Peter Nash got the consolation goal for Limerick, but it was comfortable for Down. And in the other game, we had probably what I think is the shock of the weekend. London beating Offaly 220 to 12 points in O'Connor Park. Second half goals from Stephen Dornan and Kieran Diver were key. But London absolutely dominated this game. Kieran Diver with 1-5. Shea after with 4 points. What the hell happened to Offaly in this one?
Beats me, Séamus. Like, I don't know, honestly, what is wrong with Offaly at the moment. Like, they have some exciting young talents, and for them to produce that sort of a performance against London, look, London weren't expected to win this game. So for them to beat Offaly by 14 points in Tullamore.
I saw the result. I thought it was a typo. Like, I genuinely was like, what? Like, it's a hell of a drop to go from beating Laois to losing by 14 points to London.
It's ridiculous. And to be honest, like, obviously I didn't watch the game. There was no Jago stream for this game in full, but were Offaly that bad, or were London absolutely fantastic? By the looks of this result, I think it's a bit of both. Like, to score 220 in a game is really, really good, and nothing to take away from London. It's a brilliant vein of form. Like Kieran Diver, as you mentioned there, Stephen Dornan, Shea Rafter showed his form in the Connacht FBD League in this game as well. So what a result for London. But Offaly, where on earth has it gone wrong? Like, they have young players, Jack Bryant, Cormac Egan, Lee Pearce, they have Declan Kenny as manager. Like, they won the All-Ireland with this group of players.
Yeah.
What has gone wrong? Seriously, it's unreal. As for Down, it was expected to beat Limerick anyway. Limerick will be looking at the London and Offaly game thinking, oh no, London are going to beat us now. Like, it's...
I thought you were going to say Limerick would fancy it against Offaly now.
No, but Limerick themselves have lost now. Limerick have lost 13 or 14 games in a row now, Séamus. So that's a bit of bad form.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's the thing. But yeah, good win for Down. But I think the main story of the weekend is London, and rightly so.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, they're just incredible in that game, and now sitting pretty up the top of the group with Down. I mean, they're the two sides on a win after the game, and London will fancy a crack at Limerick, no question about it. They certainly will. We're going to move on to the Provincial LGFA football finals next. We had the Leinster one at Croke Park. It opened up before the Dublin Louth game on the men's side. This game was supposed to be close. Dublin battered Meath 3-17 to 8 points. Goals in this one. Jennifer Dunn, of course, palmed in the second one. Caoimhe O'Connor got the third one in the second half, 10 minutes into the second half. Dublin had already got a goal from Carla Rowe 10 minutes into the game. Meath were never in this one. Emma Duggan led a bit of a fight back in the second half, but Dublin just looked awesome. And the main thing is with Sinead Goldrick back in at 6, Jennifer Dunn sticking around in midfield, Dublin look really, really good.
Yeah, it's a worrying sign for the rest of the country that Dublin are doing well in fairness. Like Carla Rowe would 1-3. You know, the players like Niamh Heatherton at the good performance I was hearing as well. Hannah Tyrrell from Connacht forward coming back into the team as well. And Jennifer Dunn in midfield. Sinead Goldrick at centre back. Annabelle Tivity was nominated for Player of the Month is on the bench.
Yeah.
Like, it just shows that Dublin have some unreal talents up and down the panel. And Mick Bowen is absolutely loving this, I'd imagine. As for Meath, though, Emma Duggan scored 6 points out of a total of Meath 8 points. What on earth went wrong?
It is a bit sad, isn't it? Because Meath now 3 times in a row have got absolutely battered by Dublin. And like you're looking at it and you were like, Meath, when they burst onto the scene, they won those 2 All-Irelands. They still didn't beat Dublin and Leinster. And I know that they beat Dublin in the All-Ireland final in 2021. And then they beat it in 2022. They beat Kerry, sorry. And like there was just a real rivalry there for a couple of years. It was a real engaging narrative of like Dublin have been the queens and like Meath are coming to take the crown and all this. And like that kind of rivalry seems to have died a death over the last 2 years. But like Vicky Wall's gone to the rugby, Orla Lally's gone to Australia, and it's just like Meath have fallen off a cliff now, especially when Eamon Murray left. It's like things have gone back to just as you were.
And it's just unfortunate that they haven't sustained this level of form. And it really is.
It's like, you know, like when Blackburn Rovers won a league against Man United in the 90s. Like, they just shot up, won a league, bang, right back down.
Or Leicester.
Oh, Leicester,
2016. Yeah, they went over to be fair, they've gone back up now. But yes, exactly like that. Or if you want to talk about rugby terms, Connacht, I suppose, 2016 proper direct champions, and then they're back down mid-table now. Yeah. Like, it's almost like that it never happened. It's just unfortunate from me point of view. Because
they look a million miles off from the team that won back-to-back All-Irelands. They look a million miles off. And funnily enough as well, Jer says Emma Duggan's radar seemed to be off from place balls. Like, she did miss a few. And like, this is what we're saying is like, it's when a player is as good as Emma Duggan is, I wouldn't be surprised if she gets an offer to go to Australia, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she gets an offer for the Irish soccer team as well. She's that type of player. Like, it's almost like the only way is not up for me, it's down.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate. Yeah. And there's just no sign of like a shock result. And I know we'll get on to Galway Mayo in a bit, and I don't want to spur a moment with this, but Galway got relegated to Division 2 when they would have thought being a downward spiral, but they won a Connacht title today.
Yeah.
So, like, there is a way up, but Meath just don't seem to find the right formula. It's just unfortunate for that group of players, like the likes of Monica McGurk, who stuck around, Emma Duggan as well, stuck around. Niamh O'Sullivan's another huge loss, actually, for retirement. Yeah, she was a leader in that team. And Orla Duff, big loss. Yeah, there's quite a few losses in this Meath team, and yeah, it's just unfortunate the way they've fallen off the cliff, isn't it?
Well, hopefully they can get it back together. Like, hopefully they can. Hopefully, like, it's not the last time that we've seen Vicky Wall playing for Meath. Hopefully we do see her back. Hopefully see Orla Lally back. Hopefully we see like Sean Ennis, Mary Kay Lynch, Aoibhinn Lee all on the same pitch as Emma Duggan and pulling in the same direction to mount an All-Ireland challenge. Connor Hoff says here, no worries for Kilkenny. They will be there for the Leinster final and possibly All-Ireland final with pressure on them. yeah, you'd imagine they'll bounce back, which isn't the best news for Dublin, of course. The other provincial LGFA final was Connacht, and I was picking Mayo to win this, obviously with Galway's relegation. But Galway bounced back, and they win by 5 points in Kiltoom. I mean, it's a real statement of the ability that this Galway team has.
And it's a mystery, how have they not shown this in the league?
Yeah.
Like, it's just when you look at Galway's team, and you look at their scores, say Andrea Trilly got a goal, Olivia Dively and Roisin Leonard hit 3 points each. Like, Olivia Dively is an All-Ireland champion with Kilcurran and Clonberne.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like, how have they not got this form up to now? Like, Aish Morrissey's in the panel as well. You have other players in the round of the team, like Eva O'Rourke. Eva Davern, exactly, playing with Climaco Crokes in Dublin. Like, you just wonder, why can't Galway produce this sort of performance on a yearly basis? Because they have some outstanding young players, and not players over the hills and things like that. These are players that are nearly in their prime right now, and they don't produce these performances. I know, brilliant win today, in fairness, and Andrea Trill, as I mentioned, got that goal from a Galway point of view. Louise Ward is another player who started this team. Meagher Glynn, Nicola Ward, Charlotte Cooney, like, they're absolutely incredible players. Why can't they produce it on a yearly basis or a weekly basis? It remains to be seen, but a really, really good win from a Galway point of view. As for Mayo, disappointing. Out of their 9 points, Lisa Cafferty got 6 of them, so too much reliance on her. Sinead Cafferty got 2 points as well, and Maria Cannon would point, but not enough players stepped up for Mayo, unfortunately, and they didn't win this kind of title. And it was a major opportunity to do so, considering Galway went down to Division 2, but they didn't do it. And it was a big result from a Galway point of view. And just to point towards the intermediate final as well, Leitrim beating Roscommon. That's a Division 4 team beating a Division 3 finalist. So well done to them, and well done to all involved in Leitrim.
That's a big shock. Definitely Leitrim showcased in the league their ability to hit big scores. I mean, like, the amount of goals they were racking up in the league was absolutely out of this world. The final thing we're going to touch on before we wrap up the episode, because I don't know about you, Matthew, but I'm getting absolutely delirious now. I'm so tired. We got the under-20 All-Ireland football semi-finals. Roscommon losing to Tyrone 3-18. Roscommon 3 goals and 8 points. In this game, Tyrone had answers for everything that Roscommon threw at them. They had 11 different scorers in total. Shane McGinley hit the back of the net for Roscommon after 2 minutes, but Tyrone responded with 6 points in the first 10 minutes to hit the front. Conor O'Neill and then Shay O'Hare hit 2 goals for Tyrone as they moved 2-9 to 1-5 ahead at halftime. Roscommon exploded into life in the second half with 2 goals in 2 minutes from Conor Ryan and Bobby Nugent, but Tyrone again had the response needed. Owen McElhone hit the back of the net midway through the second half as Tyrone re-established their control. They didn't look back from here, hitting on to hit 6 of the last 8 points scored in the game to get a 10-point win. In the other semi-final, it was a lot closer. Kerry beat Meath by 12 points to 11. Luke Crowley was extremely impressive throughout. Kerry hung on to win 12 points to 11 in a game where there were a lot of goal chances missed by Kerry. This game, it finished 12-11 to them. A lot of goal chances missed by Kerry, but they got the win.
Yeah, they got the win, and that was the main thing from a Kerry point of view. But for Tyrone, like, they took 30. I was lucky enough to do stats and watch these games in particular, and the under-20 championship has been brilliant throughout. Tyrone took 30 shots. They converted 21, 70% in under 20 level. It's monstrous. And Owen McElhone, I will say this, and I've said this on my podcast before, he's like a Rory Canavan, Dara Canavan type of player. He is unreal. When you watch him in full flight, he's just an incredible footballer. And Roscommon did well enough, in fairness. In the first few minutes, Shane McGinley gets 1-1 out of the blue, and you're thinking, okay, Roscommon could get a few scores on the board here. Shay O'Hare gets a goal, Conor O'Neill gets a goal, and then Tyrone kind of took it. You know, Bobby Nugent got a goal to kind of make this game a contest later on in the stages, but yeah, Owen McElhone, absolute class from a Tyrone point of view. They eased the victory in the end. The only thing from a Tyrone point of view, Rory McHugh actually got sent off late in the game, a straight red card, so that means he'll miss the final against Kerry next week. Yeah, that's a big loss. Yeah, to be honest, it looked pretty meaningless as well. I think it was almost like, why is he doing it? He hit a guy across the head. I think Roscommon got 2 red cards in that brawl as well, so it was just needless more than anything. And I think Rory knows himself it was a poor decision, but well done to Tyrone for getting the result. As for Meath and Kerry, Meath will be kicking themselves there, Séamus. Like, they had chances to win this game. Like, how many chances do you need? I think they had one chance they elected to fist the ball over the bar. They hit off the post and did Kerry get the turnover. There was another chance they missed a complete goal chance. And then the last play of the game, I think in between, right in the bang in the middle between the 45 and the 20-meter line, they put the ball wide. And it's almost like, whoa, like so many chances missed. They had a 47% shot. Kerry, to be fair, had 44%. It wasn't the best game for shooting accuracies. It was very, very poor for this type of game in an All-Ireland semi-final. But Kerry won't care. They're in an All-Ireland final. Luke Crowley, as you mentioned there, had a brilliant performance. And Boss O'Shea, he'll take in his head. The Cork game and the Meath game were perfect performances, but they're going to the Tyrone game now, probably as underdogs, given Tyrone's performances over the past few weeks. And that is always a dangerous Kerry on site. So, yeah, I think Kerry will be going relatively happy into the All-Ireland final. And I'm looking forward to it next week.
It's going to be a cracker. I definitely make Tyrone favourites. It massively impressed me in the victory over Roscommon. It seemed like there was more attacking quality in that game. They definitely weren't missing chances in that game. As you said, the 70% shot accuracy. Question in here for you, Matthew from Stockton. He said, what's your prediction for Clare versus Cork next Friday? Conor Hall weighed in. He said it will be a good game. Clare should win by a point or two.
I'll have to back Cork, don't I? Yeah, I think Clare has some good players like Michael Collins in the forward line. They have a few players from the Artscoil Reach team in the Dr. Hartley Cup. Cork, though, there is potential in this team. There's William Buckley there from the Bars. There's Dermot Healy there from this school. There are two very good hurlers in general from the Cork point of view. And also there's Ben O'Connor, the manager, who's an excellent coach at driving on players. So I'd hope that Cork go on and get the win, but Clare beating Tip the other night was a brilliant result in the under-20. Conor Whelan scored 16 out of Clare's 18 points, was absolutely exceptional. So, and we have another Conor Whelan up on the pedestal, so that's great to see. But yeah, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, the Cork at the win, but Clare will provide a sticky opponent.
It certainly will. So that is the weekend wrapped up. Thank you very much to anybody who put in the comments. You got a load on this episode. I really appreciate it, guys. Really appreciate you all getting involved in the show. It makes it a hell of a lot better. Yeah, that is the episode. We recapped all of the weekend's action, literally all of it. And I am now knackered, Matthew. So I think we've earned our rest. Yeah. So if you've tuned in, guys, we'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much. Torara, enjoy the Sunday game. We'll see you back here for the next one. Slán.